What's up guys, E-Drone here, and today is going to be part 3 of our Martian 2 build. We now have our Emax motors. I got 4 of them right here, and we're going to go ahead and open the box up, take a look at these motors, and I'll show you exactly why I chose them. Choosing motors for this build was probably one of the most important decisions that I had to make in this build. And like I said before, guys, I'm going for the best quality at the best affordable price. So what I came up with is these Emax. These are the 2205 2300 kV, I believe. We'll have to look at here. Yeah, 2205 2300 kV, and these are the older versions. They're not the brand new ones, but these are the RSs, which are the race motors. So these things are definitely going to scream. And I got these on banggood.com for a really good price. So the thing I like about Banggood is, you know, I can go ahead and use a online coupon and save some more money on an already low price. So I'm going to put a link down in the description for these motors. I got 2 clockwise threaded motors and 2 counterclockwise threaded motors. So we're going to go ahead and open this box up here, and we'll take a look inside. So after coupons and everything, these came out to be right around $11 a motor, which is incredible for this brand. This brand has been tried and tested. The Emax is a very well-known motor in the RC industry, and they are known to just be powerhouses. So right here you can see our packaging here. It looks very professional. Here you've got the Emax scratch check authenticity to make sure you don't get it, because there are, believe it or not, there are fake Emax motors out there. So just be careful, you know, when ordering online. Make sure you're getting definitely a legitimate product. So that's the little scratch right there. You can actually check that on the website and make sure you got the real deal. So the packaging is very nice, very professional. Comes in this just slides off here. You get a nice plastic case here, very nice. And here on the back you have all your specs, and it's telling you about how to use the proper propeller, and it tells you just all kinds of things like do not run the motor for more than 60 seconds under a static environment, or overheating or damage may occur. So definitely want to make sure you read all this and pay attention to this. This will tell you the max thrust, and it'll tell you the propellers also that they use to get the max thrust, which is exactly what we're going to use here. So right here you can see these are the counterclockwise. This one here is. Opening up the packaging, has a nice little lock right here. And boom, you can see right there, guys, gives you a nice long, very nice Allen key there to install. You get your little bag of hardware here, some mounting screws. We have different sizes, it looks like. We have some longer ones there, and it looks like a little bit of shorter ones there, depending on your frame. And here we have some more bolts as well, and our lock nuts here. So wow, actually they give you 3 lock nuts per motor, so that's pretty awesome. So way to go, Emax. Now the motor here, take a look at this bad boy. It just feels nice. It just looks professional. It's the red bottom motors that are so famous. Everybody knows these motors. They are very well known, and these are the RS, which is the race motors. So let's give her a little spin here. See how she feels. Oh yeah, she feels the tolerances feel very, very tight there. These are the race spec. See right there? The race spec. Now, the reason I didn't go with the newest Emax motors, I believe they are 2206, 2750 kV, I believe. look, I'm all about, go big or go home. But at the end of the day, a motor like the Emax 2206 is going to be very amp hungry. It's going to be drawing a lot of amps, and I don't want to be puffing or destroying my batteries because batteries aren't cheap. So this motor here is a good all-around motor. It's got plenty of power for my needs, and it's gonna do what I need it to do without hopefully damaging any batteries. Because these do draw some amps, but not anything like the the 2206s are going to. As you can see here, we got the Emax right here, cooling. So these are the they are designed to cool and run air through here to keep these things cool. Here you got your size, your 2205, 2300 kV, and right here you'll see the wires nice and neat here with a nice little heat shrink, and definitely plenty long wires here. Won't be needing all that. Definitely will have to be cutting that off. But it even looks like, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like these wires are already pre-tinned. If I can get that to focus. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's already pre-tinned. Interesting. Well, as you can see, guys, this motor looks very professional. You got your little arrows here. Basically, that way this is a counterclockwise motor. So basically, guys, this motor, when you hook it up, it's going to spin. If you hook this straight up with these 3 wires straight up to the ESC, it's going to spin clockwise. That's not going to change. The reason that these motors say clockwise and counterclockwise is the threads. So these prop nuts screw on here. These have the reverse threads, so whatever way the motor spins, the threads are going to tighten the opposite way. So these nuts right here will tighten up clockwise on a counterclockwise motor. That way you never have to worry about the nut coming off. So you can see right here, I'm turning it clockwise and it is tightening up. You see that? Tightening up. So on the new motors, they aren't labeled as clockwise and counterclockwise. All the threads are the same, and they just give you locking nuts that are locked, so they won't come off either. But I do like the fact that the threads are reversed. I do like that. It helps you distinguish, what motor is labeled very nicely. Emax did a great job making these motors look very nice. This is the underside of the motor, and there you can see the magnets, and they look really nice. They're nice and tight, and there's the copper wire winding there, and you can just tell they did a really good job, getting these to look professional and to be very functional and have very tight tolerances. And also here on the bottom, you can see that there's a little clip right there. And that clip right there, if you slide that off, you are actually able to take this motor completely apart. That way you can take a look at the inside of it. So we have our motor here, we have our frame, and what exactly are you going to need to get this motor mounted? So some people soft mount the actual motor to the frame itself. I'm not going to be soft mounting these. I'm going to mount them directly to the frame itself. But what you're going to need, guys, is you're going to need a nice Allen key, which they provide you in the Emax motor, which is, I'm just really shocked that they give you that nice of an Allen key wrench. And it looks like it's some kind of specialty metal there. I don't know what you would call it, but it looks very strong and it looks very nice. So they give you a nice Allen wrench. And the second thing you're going to need, guys, is some Loctite, the blue Loctite. Now, oddly enough, the Loctite is in a red bottle, but it does say blue right on the packaging there. So you want to use blue Loctite. Never use red Loctite, because the red Loctite is pretty much a permanent bond, and you're going to have a really hard time taking off that motor if you need to replace it. So we're going to go ahead and get this ready to go ahead and see what size screw we're going to need. So we have a couple different size screws here that came with the motors. We have a shorter one here, and then we have a little bit longer one here. Now the arms on this drone are actually 4 millimeters thick. So when you actually put your motor here on the frame, okay, it's going to sit like that. What we need to figure out is which of these screws is going to be better. So here's the short screw. We're going to push that through there, and you can see there's a very little bit of thread sticking out. It might, I mean, that might be enough to get a good bite on the motor. What you don't want is it to be too long, because if it's too long, and you can see this one's got a lot more thread on there. However, you don't want it to be so long that it actually touches the windings inside. See that? So looking at this right here, I'm just going to take a look and see where this screw is going to end up. So if I go right here, that is really close, guys. I mean, that, by the time you snug that down, I honestly think that that screw is going to be too long, and it definitely is going to be touching those windings, because right now it's touching the bottom of this red right here. And yeah, I'm not going to use these long screws. I just feel like that's just an accident waiting to happen. Better yet, guys, that you know, I probably would have enough bite with this short screw, but if I went ahead and dug a little bit deeper, and they actually give you 3 different sizes. So big shout out to Emax, always, you know, giving you everything you possibly need, you know, with the motors. So you get the longest screw here, which is way too long. We don't want to risk touching those windings. This right here is the medium screw, and this is the shortest screw. So if we look at these 2 screws together, okay, you can see that the one on the left is just a hair longer, and try to get this focus, just a hair longer, guys. Not, sorry for the focus, there you go, just a hair longer, not a lot at all. But I think by the time we use these screws here, it's going to be the perfect amount of bite. See that? We got the perfect amount of bite for the motor, but we are not going to be anywhere near those windings. So put the motor back on here. Oh yeah, you see that? That's a perfect lineup right there. It's going to have enough thread to secure the motor to the frame, but it is not going to touch those windings. So we have found our screw. I really got to say how pleased I am with these Emax motors. Once again, I know you're probably going to get tired of hearing it, but they actually give you 5 screws per size. So even if you were to lose one, they give you a backup. I mean, that's just thinking ahead. And they also give you a bag of these C-clips and a spacer. So if you need, you know, to if you lose a C-clip or break a C-clip, they give you extra ones here. I mean, just big shout out to Emax once again. You know, I know they're more expensive than some of your other brands, but you know, the fact that they give you all of this with them is a huge value in my opinion. And I am definitely happy I got these motors. And even, you know, with the discount, you know, $11 a piece. I mean, there's other worse motors out there for the same or more money. So the fact that I got these for $11 a piece is a straight up bargain. We're just about ready to secure our motor to our frame. And what I like to do is take this Loctite here and go ahead and open it up. And I just be careful when you open it up, because I'll show you here in a minute. What I like to do right here is save this piece of plastic right here. This little plastic is actually a good little tray, and you can actually use this tray, and you can squeeze a little bit of the Loctite in this tray, and you can use this to dab your bolts in. So definitely don't want to throw that away. And definitely don't need a ton of Loctite. I actually squeezed out way too much. That's way more than what I'm going to need, so I actually wasted some. But yeah, you just need a couple drops. I mean, not much at all. You don't want to soak the screw in the Loctite. You just want to be able to dab it in there and then go ahead and tighten it up to your motor. All right, so I got my Loctite on my bolt here. Go ahead and line your motor up with the hole. And we're going to go ahead and tighten it down just a little. Not going to snug it up. We're just going to get it finger tight. Now we're going to do the same for the other 3 bolts. We're going to dab them in the Loctite, and we're going to just slide them on in and just tighten them up by hand. So I went ahead and got the motor all tightened down. Now with these Emax motors, you have to pay attention at the rotation. So depending on what software program you're using, which I'm going to be using Betaflight. So I'm going to flash the Betaflight motor order and motor rotation up right there. You can see it. So as you can see, guys, you can see this is the order of the motors. Motors 1, 2, 4, and 3. They have to go in that order on the drone. And as you can see right here, this is the front of the drone. So looking at the drone, just like in Betaflight, motor 1, motor 2, motor 4, and motor 3. So the way you have to set these up is motor 4 is going to be counterclockwise, okay? And motor 2 is going to also be counterclockwise. So you can see they're diagonal from, they are diagonal from one another, and both of these motors are going to be counterclockwise because of our threads with these Emax motors. And motor 1 and motor 4 are going to be clockwise, just like you saw in the Betaflight. The new Emax motors, it does not matter where you put the motors because all the threads are the same. Meaning they don't have reverse threads on the new Emax motors, so you really can't put them on the drone wrong. You can have them wired wrong, but you can't put them on the drone wrong. So that's, I guess, a perk of the new Emax motors. But I don't find this to be the pain at all. So we're going to go ahead and get the rest of the 3 put on there. I'll show you here, the bottom here. I got it nice and snug down, and I mean, you can see I got a little bit of Loctite on my frame. I'll clean that off. But you want to crank these guys down, guys. I mean, these motors put out a lot of torque. So you want to give it a nice, good, snug, crank down with your Allen key. And that's why they give you this extra long one, so you can get a good bit of torque on these when you torque them down. But I have this thing tightened down pretty daggone good, and it definitely isn't moving at all. So that's good. Plus we have our blue Loctite, which will ensure that we don't lose a motor. But as you can see, guys, they give you plenty enough wire. They give you enough wire to almost reach the daggone PDB. See that? If you're going to wire it to the PDB. We don't want to do that, though. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to go ahead and get the other motors on here, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at it here in a minute. Got all our motors put on, and it looks great. And as you can see, they actually give you different color lock nuts as well. So they give you silver for the counterclockwise threads, and they give you black for the clockwise threads. So that's nice. So you can distinguish just by looking at the nuts, which way these threads are threaded for clockwise or counterclockwise. And just picking this thing up with the motors, now I can see where all the weight comes from on these drones. The motors, because this thing, before I put these motors on here, was rather light, and now it is pretty doggone heavy. But nevertheless, these motors have a ton of power, and I'm excited to get this thing in the air. And as you can see here, guys, these nice little clear little boxes that the motors came in are super convenient. What I did was I put all the nuts, all the hardware, all the Allen key wrenches, everything that all these motors came with, which is a ton of hardware. I put it all in this one box. Got a little lock on here. And if I ever need a spare part or a spare whatever, I got this whole box full. So that's really nice that they give you these nice containers. Plus, I have all my specs on the back as well. If I want to know, you know, what the weight of the motor is, what the let me get another one here. It might not have a. There we go. This one doesn't have a sticker on top of it. But yeah, this will tell you, you know, what the length of the motor, the diameter, number of cells you can run, the maximum thrust, and what kind of props they got this 124 grams of thrust from, which is the HQ 5045 bullnose props. And I believe those are a tri-blade, I believe, but I'm going to be running tri-blade, so I'm going to try to get the HQ 5045 bullnose and the tri-blade. And yeah, so there she is, guys. She is got her motors on, and we just got to wait for our ESCs. That'll be the next video, and we'll be mounting the ESCs and soldering the motor to the ESCs. And then we'll be getting into the PDB and just going to keep on building this thing up, guys. Went ahead and wiped off all the excess Loctite off the bottom here, and there's a little bit on there, but wipe that off. But yeah, guys, I mean, the best thing I can tell you is when you're tightening these motors up, use your blue Loctite, and you know, don't be afraid to crank these things down, because you know these motors have a lot of torque and a lot of thrust, and if you don't have it on there nice and tight, you can make sure or be pretty sure that these motors are going to come loose, and you definitely don't want that when you're flying in the air to have a loose motor. So thank you guys for watching. Please hit that like button, guys. I'm really trying to build up my content. I know I haven't had a lot of videos on here recently. You know, life's been crazy, but you know, definitely tell me what you guys think of the build so far. You know, go ahead and drop a comment below. Tell me what you think of the build. You know, we're using the Maytech PDB with a Martian 2 frame with the Emax motors. And like I said, guys, you know, I'll put a link down in the description for the motors that I got from banggood.com. And like I said, guys, I'm trying to build, you know, the best value for the buck drone. You know, I'm not trying to get absolute cheapest drone, but I'm not trying to do top of the line either. I'm trying to get somewhere in the middle where quality meets value, if you know what I'm saying. So definitely hit that like button, subscribe for more FPV stuff, builds, flights, and more. And till my next one, E-Drone out.